cool. Mm-hmm. There we go. Let's see. Mm-hmm. Sounds good. Mm. Okay.
And if I've done everything correctly, we should be loading into the stream. Yeah, there we go. All right. I had to wait until everybody's faces popped into where they needed to be. I think they're getting there. Hello and welcome to Level 1 Adventuring. I keep looking to my left. There we go. There's Amber. And that means Garrett's probably going to be popping up in a second. Welcome to Level 1 Adventuring. I am your host and Dungeon Master, Wolf Scott. There we go. Now's everybody's in so I can put them into performance mode. We are so happy to have you here on this Wednesday. What is the Level 1 Adventuring channel, you may ask, even though you're already here, so you might already have an idea. This is a tabletop role-playing game variety channel. We do a lot of D&D stuff. That's usually our Wednesday nights, but it also depends on our head count, right? So when we don't have enough head count, we like to spice things up, try something new. And this has been one of the new things we've been doing whenever we don't have the full party assembled. This is a little game called Fall of Magic. Not Call of Magic, although I guess we do that too in this game. And we will talk a little bit more about what Fall of Magic is in a moment. But before that, just wanted to say once again, thank you for showing up. If you haven't already, please follow us on all the things, on the YouTube, on Twitch. There's a Discord that you can join where there are memes and fan art and hopefully a play-by-post space soon, so we got a lot cooking. But with that being said, I think that's my usual spiel and my introduction as well, I should say I'm your host and Dungeon Master, but tonight I am not your only Dungeon Master, because the point of Fall of Magic is that it is a collaborative storytelling game. So the two other beautiful faces you see here on the channel are not only going to be my fellow players and companions, they're going to be my fellow storytellers. So, yeah, why don't I have them introduce themselves for everyone at home?
Hey everyone, my name is Amber. I normally play our resident rogue here on Level 1 Adventuring named Nadara Valier. Tonight I am playing Sully, the gentle voiced giant. And yeah, you can catch me over at my Twitch, the girl with caramel skin, if you want to shoot me a follow as well. And thanks for being here. Over to
Hi,
Garrett.
I'm. Oh yeah, I'm Garrett. I'm usually Yoan Byrne of the Yarn Hall Burns, our tiefling. What is he? A wizard? He's a wizard. It's been a
As
minute.
far as we know.
Uh, but today I am Vago, the Golem of Ravenhall.
Yes. Oh,
So,
a dumbass Loki says howdy, y'all. A Pastor Spy says hi. So, hi everybody. Welcome. Welcome to the stream.
Hello.
Yes. So I guess I should also say who I'll be playing. I'm Caspian, our smart-mouthed, disparaged fortune-telling once knight. But yes, what is Fall of Magic? We'll go briefly over that for a second, and then we'll sort of do a quick recap. So. Fall of Magic is a collaborative storytelling game. It is a role-playing game, but it predominantly concerns itself with creating stories with you and your friends. There's not a lot of dice rolling involved, although we have added our own little take on certain things that will involve dice if we need to have them for the purpose of the story being told. But essentially what happens is we have this map. These little tokens represent our characters, and we are trying to travel across the land. No spoilers, I'll go back real quick. Because we are trying to deliver another character who we all communally control, right? A fourth character that we all have agency over, named the Magus. And the Magus is a very powerful magic caster who, unfortunately, their power is waning, and their life is actually fading because the power of magic in this world is beginning to die down. And that is like the only assumed parts of the setting, right? That you are all traveling with a character named the Magus and magic is dying. But beyond that, everything is for us to decide and improvise together and create as a group as we play along. And so basically how we do that is every round, our characters get to choose a little scene, which is shown on the map here. And that helps inform what the scene will be about. And then once that scene is ended, another character goes, etc., etc. And once all the characters have gone, then we can choose to move the Magus, if we so choose, to the next location on the map to demonstrate the next leg of our journey. And then we keep doing that until we get to the end and see what happens to all of our characters along the way. And that is essentially how this game is played, the long and short of it. You'll see as we get into like the cadence of it, how it kind of rolls. Anything about that description that anybody else wants to pipe in, Amber and Garrett, before we do a little recap of what happened last session?
Nope, I think you got it.
Garrett? Once again, Garrett, just so you know. Oh, actually, I should say Gamber. Gamber? Collectively.
no, I muted myself.
Collectively,
No
Amber and
problem
Garrett.
this time.
Oh, no problems. Okay, good. Because I can't see your faces.
Comprehensive, I would say.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I can't see your faces, so sometimes I get nervous when there's too much silence.
Right.
Oh God. Okay. So that takes care of how the game is played, and you'll see how that goes as we start. But let's talk a little bit about the story that we've developed together so far. So our journey began at Ravenhall. So as you can see, our journey hasn't gotten too far along yet. But that's great because we were doing a lot of character building. Essentially, this powerful figure known as the Magus, who we've all created together. Our Magus is sort of like this ageless, looks kind of like a young teenager, but is like, however, like eons old. Was actually delivered into the realm through an astrological event. A flash of light in the sky just appeared, and is covered in like bones and fur, and kind of has like a very almost druidic kind of feel to their garb. Flashed into existence a long time ago and has since been kind of helping the world. Our personality for the Magus is sort of one that is less about overt hand-holding guidance and more like if I have to teach you a harsh lesson, like that's how it's gonna be, but you'll be better off for it. But essentially the most powerful magical figure this world has known, who has been in some ways helping the realm behind the scenes or sometimes in front of the scenes. One way or another has sort of wormed their way into the lives of all three of our characters. So, I almost called you Gamber again, Garrett Gamber. If I butcher or mess up a bit of the recap of your personal character story, or you want to, reflavor anything, because ultimately in the rule set, you have final say over what happens to your character. Please let me know as I'm going through this. But essentially, the Magus has appeared to each of our characters at different points of our lives. The Magus appeared to me as I was trying to grift some townsfolk with a fortune-telling reading. My character does a sort of a form of tarot in this world that I made up that has to do with, like, the stars and, like, astrological figures. Came up to me, kind of showed me up at my own game, because obviously the Magus is a much better fortune-teller than I'll ever be, and sort of locked me into this contract of being called upon at some point in the future, at a point of their choosing, since I sort of failed our gambit. So that's what I was approached and conscripted by the Magus. Solly, the giant of the wilderness, was going through a ritual led along by her giant kin parents to sort of help activate the nature magic which is inherent to her bloodline. And during the course of this very elaborate ritual, there was a flash of light and fire from their ritual site in the sky, and thus appeared the Magus. And the Magus approached Sully and pretty much said, one of my favorite lines, I think, from the last game was, Sully was like, have I met you before? And the Magus was like, yes, I've already met you, because time works differently for the Magus, which was very fun. But yeah, pretty much already said, hey, you're going to be called upon at a time of my choosing, blah, blah, blah. And Sully looked to her parents and said, does this happen with everybody? Does the Magus appear with everybody? And the parents kind of avoided the question because they know that the Magus doesn't. So this heralds a sort of very interesting choice by the Magus. And then finally, we got introduced to Vago, the golem of Ravenhall. So Ravenhall is actually where the Magus has their academy, has their base of operations. And Vago is actually a golem created by sort of a rogue wizard being taught in Ravenhall. One of the Ravens, as we call them. So created this golem using forbidden magic and techniques. The wizard, I believe the name was Morius, was dragged out before the Magus and all of their constituents, and was pretty much made to answer for their crimes. And the Magus was very interested in Vago, thought Vago had some promise despite the strange origins, and pretty much said, okay, Vago, like, if you are an asset to Ravenhall, prove yourself, defend Ravenhall, what would you do? And Vago, very climactically, and I was so hyped for this, just obliterated the evil Magus, its own creator, demonstrating the protective nature of the golem for Ravenhall. And so that's how... And Vago has been at Ravenhall ever since, so more ingratiated into the nature of the Magus' everyday life than some of the other characters. But regardless, we were all eventually summoned to Ravenhall. We went to the scrying pool. We all learned why we serve the Magus, which is everything I pretty much just described. We were led to a great hall, which we were told that we were kind of led to believe that the magic of the world is fading and dying. The Magus is becoming weaker, and they need a group of heroes to help escort them to Umbra, which is the land where magic was born. And hopefully we will be able to keep the Magus safe for that journey. And then we went to the Rose Gardens, and we were given this really interesting scene about the Magus' natural plants and the roses that they grow there, and how no matter what kind of magic the Magus pours into these roses, this garden, they all wither and die. And through our characters' combined magic, we got to see some moments where we almost kind of pushed past the corruption inside of the land, and we were able to see the plants sort of regrow to a natural state, but we weren't quite able to push it over the edge. But it did demonstrate our, I guess, significance to the Magus' plans. And then finally, after that, we decided to set out, hit the trail. The Magus took the form of a raven. Caspian got a horse. I believe Sully has like a big ass ox, which is pretty cool. And Vago is just marching steadily, strongly astride everyone. And we finally hit the first zone of the next half of our journey, which is... Does it show us here? I guess, just the hills, the summer hills, I guess? Oak Hills, yes. My character token's on top of it. And the Oak Hills was my scene, so I decided to demonstrate the fact that the Oak Hills are showing signs of that same atrophy, that same corruption, that the dying nature of magic is now spreading throughout the land, and the Magus is becoming more and more concerned about it. I also would like to add one more addendum to the scene before we totally change hands, because I think it's an important distinction to make. I think we should have, in the description of the scene where the Magus is talking about the fading nature of the land and magic, I think there should be a scene where maybe like the Magus is trying to flap down, back towards the party in Raven form, and then there's like sort of like a crackle of unpredictable magic, and maybe like a few feet above the ground where the Magus, was hopefully going to land as a raven and sort of becomes a humanoid form midair and sort of beefs it and like lands in the dirt, and we all rush over to see what's wrong with the Magus. And this is like sort of the Magus's magic beginning to act in unknown ways. And I think what this will help us set up to do is have other scenes in the future where maybe the magic doesn't work exactly as expected, so that we don't have a get out of jail free card all the time, and also increases their reliance upon our skills, right? But also I think in doing this, I think the Magus would have to be maybe carried by Vago, or maybe even like ride on Vago's shoulder to sort of like meditate and rest and get their strength back up. And in that, I think we can insert scenes where maybe the Magus... Because so far, every scene we've done has involved the Magus, which isn't wrong by any means. But I think if we want to have scenes where we just want our characters involved, we can say that the Magus needs a moment to like collect themselves, commune with nature, meditate on the nature of things. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much where our last scene... Oh, wait, Ailing says bridal carry, bridal carry. Vago, I mean, you're the golem. How do you think Vago would be carrying the Magus?
I would think it'd be sort of the Yoda backpack deal from Empire Strikes Back.
That's yeah, absolutely. Oh, on the shoulder is totally adorable. Oh yeah, absolutely. Just like a little Magus, just taking a breather up on the shoulder. But yeah, so that's pretty much where our journey left off. We were in the middle of the Oak Hills, traveling across the land, trying to get to our next destination, and we saw firsthand the Magus struggle with their magic. And that I think is a big moment for all of us, because we are so used to the legends of the Magus, their infinite power, their endless knowledge, and to see that beginning to fail them or betray them, I think is going to be a big turning point for sort of our role in the story. But I'm pretty sure that covers everything we did last time around. To the other characters, is there anything that I glossed over you'd want to reiterate, or any agency that you'd want to assert over what I just said?
No, but should we roll initiative for this session and see about our turn order?
Oh, yeah, if you'd like to.
Ooh.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, here's what I'll say. So I already picked a scene last time, so I won't pick another scene. This, you know what I'm saying? Like, I guess wherever I end up in the initiative order.
Yours is going to be third.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's Loki says that sounds so unsanctified. I mean, hey, this is what the Magus is struggling with, right? Having to deal with their own... Well, I don't know if it's I guess it is mortality. If the Magus is dying, it's kind of like the Magus having to struggle with their own mortality, which is something... that's an interesting angle for that character, for sure.
Yeah. I got a 4 on my D6.
You got a 4 on your D6? I got
D6,
a 3.
okay, hold on. I got a 5.
All right.
Amber's first.
So, I'm going to make some notes here. Amber, Garrett, me, which is perfect because I was going to be unofficially last anyway. So I chose the scene at the Oak Hills, which means the rest of the party is here. And Amber, whenever you find a scene that you think speaks to you, you can feel free to move Sully there and invite who you wish to invite.
Okay. Let's see. I think. Do we always have to invite someone else into the scene?
We don't. You as the
Hmm.
storyteller, you can choose to invite as many or as little characters as you want, and also as the primary storyteller, you have the option of inviting or uninviting if your scene has wrapped with that one character. Like maybe you want to have a scene just one-on-one with a character, and then invite another one or let one go. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It
makes sense.
is entirely your control.
Yeah. Okay. So I think. So we just got here at the Oak Hills. I'm assuming we've been traveling for a minute to arrive. Did we want to set a time of day, or is that like something that I can just grab into the scene?
You said it.
Yeah. You
Oh,
said
okay.
it.
Okay. I'm not used to having no rules, y'all. All right, cool. So, can y'all still hear me?
I can. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, my headphones are muted. I'm going to move Sully into At Dawn, the morning ritual.
Oh, I think I don't hear
Oh,
you now.
I think we lost you.
Don't worry, folks. We're finding. We'll put on performance mode for a second. There we go. For those of y'all who are in chat, hopefully you are ready for some new and exciting moments between these characters. Any moments from the last session that you really enjoyed, friends?
Any technomancers around that can rid us of this week-to-week curse?
If only we had the technomancers.
Only an unearthed arcana subclass right now.
Ailing just put a little person in a little jail cell. Someone give an offering to Cattywax. Yes.
Oh, this is so Cattywax.
I'm very glad to blame any problem that happens with the stream on Cattywax. I'm glad that it would just never be our fault. As far as I can see, we can see Amber.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like you're muted on the video thing. No, we can't. I can read your lips. That's why I know what you said.
If you want, you can try popping in and back out. Maybe that'll adjust it.
I just threw my computer microphone. Can you...
There it is.
There it is.
Oh, for a second.
Wait. Can you hear me?
Yeah, nailed it.
Okay, cool. Amazing. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool. I had to change my audio input.
There you go.
Recently changed. Okay. So I'm gonna move Sully to At Dawn, the morning ritual, and I'm gonna keep her solo for now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming we arrived at the Oak Hills, and it's like the crack of dawn. We maybe camped out in Oak Hills overnight, and we're here. Maybe. Okay. So we're arriving at Oak Hills, and Sully is, next to the ox, just like brushing it through its hair with her hands.
What's your ox's name?
Not saying anything. Ooh, that's a good question. Okay. Oh my gosh, what is my ox's name? I want my ox to be. I don't know. Okay, hold on. It's a good question. The first thing that came to my mind was Ollie Oxenfree, and I feel like that's a terrible name. Oh wait, Ollie! Maybe
Ollie's
Ollie.
Cute. Ollie and Solly. Solly's like, what am I gonna name the ox? just my name minus an S.
Ollie.
That's really cute.
That is now canon. That's what I'm going for.
Perfect. Ollie and Solly.
All right. And she's just brushing through Ollie's hair with her hands and just kind of like, you know, making Ollie just like building this bond with this animal and kind of just looking around and taking note of like the surroundings and such. And I want to say, okay, pause about the description. How do we initiate combat here? We can just make it happen.
Like, I mean, you're the storyteller, so if you think there are some scenes that are like mapped on the scroll that looks like there could be conflict, but as the storyteller, if you want to invite conflict into the world, I say go for it. But yeah, this will be the part where we have to improvise our little combat system since it's not written in. But I would say if it's speaking to you, I say go for it.
Okay, I kind of want to do it. I kind of think it's to be a great chess run. So she's, you know, sensing her surroundings, penning through her oxen, she kind of stops and freezes because she hears like something coming this way. And this is the moment where I would invite both of y'all characters into the scene. Because Sully's going to say, everyone, I think there's something. Oh, wait, hold on, back up. That's Nadara's voice. I think there's something in the woods.
All right, so I'm gonna move Caspian into the fray. I'm gonna say, I guess it's called the morning ritual. So maybe, I'll give a insight into what Caspian's morning ritual would be.
Yeah, please.
And I think what Caspian would be doing is, I think, kind of rolls out of his. I don't know if we have a bedroll or a tent or something, but I imagine that the night before, right, that Caspian would have been doing some astronomancy cards, sort of like getting a bead on what the day might have in store for the next morning, and would have like been taking notes in like a leather-bound notebook. And so when the morning arrives, Caspian is consulting. It's almost like a dream journal. Like, he's consulting what he dreamed about the night before and is comparing it to the readings of the astronomancy cards and trying to get, like, an idea of, like, whether the reading so far has been, you know, to his original expectation. So I'll say, yeah, that's Caspian is sort of flipping through his pages, consulting a couple star charts, looking at the cards he drew, and very much in his own world. When he hears Sully saying, "There's something from the woods," and so Caspian, you know, his eyes, he looks up. They're still kind of faintly glistening from the starlight from using the astronomancy power, and very quickly, his hand reaches for the handle and the hilt of his very ceremonial looking, his very fancy blade. You know, once again, higher than the station of his like common dress. As he quickly sort of scurries up beside Sully and like squints his eyes at the foliage below. I don't see anything yet. You sure?
No, I'm sure. I hear it. There's at least 3 of them.
Them? Them what?
I hear paw pads. And I hear something that sounds similar to human footfall.
Just for a second, an anonymous gifter gave a tier 1 sub to one of our watchers. So thank you so much.
Oh my gosh!
I appreciate
Thanks.
you. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, my heart. Okay, so yes, you hear human footfalls and paw prints.
And paw prints. I think we're surrounded.
To this, I slowly begin to pull the blade forward, and there's a sort of a flick of the wrist which insinuates that there may have been some proper blade training in Caspian's life once. You know, there's like a right proper mantling of the blade into his hands as he like looks over his shoulder and sort of getting a glance back towards the camp to see what the situation is with the Magus and Vago. So. Sully, Amber, you still have control of the Magus in this scene, so you can choose whether or not the Magus gets involved or is perhaps still regenerating.
Yeah.
Mostly, I also just want to see what Vago would be doing in this moment as well.
Also, same. I want to know Vago's morning ritual.
Vago, you probably noticed, has been standing inert all night.
Just like it's totally still.
Yep. No need for food, drink, or sleep. So
Yeah, no, absolutely.
but I think once there's some stirrings in the camp, he starts to move again. Not even like he's woken out of like he shut down and somebody turned it back on, but just like, all right, it's time to do things. I think he takes most of the time as everyone else is doing their rituals, just running one of his big slabs of a hand over his arm and just like reinforcing these purple runes that sort of raise and glow and then sink back in and disappear. Just like re-upping all of his personal magic and protection. Just kind of quietly, very near the Magus. The Magus, however, meanwhile...
The Magus, meanwhile, is sitting there also becoming alert, looks ready to join us in this conflict. And to that, Sully's going to say, no, you just had an episode very recently, and I don't think you should join us in this one. If we need you, we should call you. And then she's going to like tap Ollie on the butt and be like, Ollie, can you go over there and protect the Magus for us? And Ollie kind of, I don't know what noise an ox makes, but whatever noise an ox makes. Thank you.
I don't know if that's what it is, but...
That was perfect. Yes. And he kind of like, Ollie kind of...
Oh, I heard
we lost your audio source again.
Oh no. Well, at least now we know how to fix it, so that'll probably help. But it sounds like Ollie is meandering over towards the Magus for a defensive position, so we'll keep the Magus over here in the Oak Hills. And we'll keep us...
Can you hear me now?
I can, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we're back.
Whoa. Heard you for a second.
We were.
Yeah.
We were back.
Cattywax.
Testing.
Testing success.
Good test.
Okay, this works out. Yeah, so Ollie's kind of sauntering over towards the Magus and kind of like takes up, because like Vago's by the Magus right now, so Ollie's gonna kind of take up like the rear, like between the Magus and whatever could be behind him. I'm assuming forest or open field or something like that. And I want to say in this moment, Sully kind of backs up closer to like the group, to be closer to y'all, and has both hands on her staff and says, "They're close. Get ready." And I want to say, out of the bushes and forests around us, we're gonna see like a human bandit type-esque character in like these really ragged leathers that look like they've been torn through. Maybe his shoes are like way too big for his frame, so we're assuming he like scavenged them off something. Missing teeth, and he has like these two like very scrawny, like starving looking hunting dogs with him that are coming in from each side.
Ooh. Okay, so as the bandit is approaching us, I mean, like, what's their vibe? Are they like...
They are absolutely...
Ailing said they have to have some dinner. Enjoy your dinner, Ailing. We'll be here if you... if
Bye,
you
Ailing.
Watch the YouTube video that we upload after.
Yes.
Product placement.
I guess the bandit is gonna emerge and... Wait, I want to assign someone the bandit because I don't want to be the bandit. Hey, Garrett, I'm gonna assign you the bandit.
Deal.
All right.
Am I picking the vibe then?
Yeah,
you're picking the vibe.
You seem to imply that you want a combat out of this, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm trying to test the system.
All right. So this rather tooth-deprived, dirty-looking forest bandit ambles forward and takes from a little sheath on their belt this very like kind of crude, poorly crafted knife, but a long one, like a cheap hunting knife. And just bold as anything, goes, "Give me what you got. All your gold, all your food." And he gestures at the ground, right there.
This Caspian tightens up his grip on his sword.
I don't think you're in any position to be making demands, friend. We got you outnumbered.
1, 2, 3, and he gestures to his two dogs, who don't look all that. I mean, they've got like that hungry like glare to them, but they're pretty malnourished.
Mm-hmm.
3.
Don't.
Nope, never mind.
No, you got it.
Do you not see the giant ox back there? Do you really want to go against us? The
Looks
9
like
foot giant says.
Like a tasty ox to me. Why don't you send him over here too?
I don't think you want me to do that.
And why not?
Because I don't think you're gonna come out of this unscathed, or possibly even alive. I might need to return you to the soil.
Look at me. Do you see all of this? You think I have gotten this far not being a survivor? And he takes his dagger and does a little like turn with it in his hand. And despite how he looks, it's actually a very deft like.
Ooh. Okay.
So I'll say again. Gold, food, ox. Right here. Then on your way.
Loki in chat says, "Cow will crush small man."
Yes.
I'm not giving you Ollie.
And then she's gonna crouch down to battle position.
All right, it sounds like we're gonna join into combat.
Oh yeah.
Let's do it.
All right.
Absolutely.
The bandit laughed a little bit again. All right. Let's get some names. Stick, Twig,
Stick and twig.
Stick 'em.
Yes.
All
And
right.
the two hounds lunge forward. So there's our moment.
Okay, so as the storyteller, Amber, you are going to choose sort of the general difficulty of this fight, right?
Okay.
So the scale's pretty easy. It's 1 to 6. 1 being easy and 6 being nearly impossible for us. So 2 would be tricky, 3 would be hard, 4 would be a heroic challenge, and 5 would be legendary. So, yeah, and then 6 would be impossible. So, knowing that ratio of challenge, how do you feel this deft hunter bandit and their hungry dogs would fare?
I'm gonna probably say a 2. I feel like the description Garrett gave him with the expertise in which he rolled his dagger would give him a little more deadliness than his look would imply. And I would just assume that dogs are their deck skill is high. So
yeah, absolutely. All right, so then if that's the case, that means every round. So how challenges pretty much work in Rhesus, and we're so for those of you who are watching at home, we are using the Rhesus Anything RPG rules, which is a very sort of stripped down, easy to run RPG system you can attach to pretty much any genre. And so because the creatures challenge, the overall creatures challenge is 2, they are going to roll 2 dice against us every round. That's kind of like their cliche, if you will, right? And so every time they succeed against us, we will lose a die during the challenge. And every time we succeed against them, they will lose a die in the challenge. And if we deplete their die to 0, we win. And if they deplete us to 0, they win. And then I guess we'll see what happens in that scenario. So, let's... Oh, Mr. Video Freak has followed. Thank you so much, Mr. Video Freak. I appreciate you being on stream. We love to see you. Mr. Video Freak is the very noble-hearted person who says my enemy, who has taken on to helping to keep the Nebra mod alive all this time for Skyrim. So thank you so much, Mr. Video Freak. We appreciate you and glad to have you in chat. Okay, so I guess first things first, because Amber is our top of the initiative so far. Amber, let's have you roll against the bandit troop here to see who gets the first attack. And when we do this, Amber, you choose one of your cliches, right? That you think would be appropriate to how this battle would start off. And that is what we're going to roll against the bandit.
Okay. All right, and so I'm rolling d6s, right?
Yes.
And I'm rolling how many d6s?
It depends on the cliche that you use. If you can narratively justify how it would help you get into the fray.
Got it. Know how when we first like pick these cliches, we have like a 4, 3, 2, 1. Is that how many dice we're supposed to roll?
Correct.
Okay, perfect. Okay, cool. So in this moment, Sully wants to restrain him, so I'm gonna like channel like this nature energy into my staff. So she's gonna like lightly rub her hand up the length of her staff, and it's gonna start glowing this kind of like very, very like luminescent light green. And she wants to call forth vines from the ground to wrap around his legs and keep him stuck in place.
Excellent. So that means however many dice that you have for I'm assuming your nature magic cliches.
Nature magic.
Yep. You are going to roll that many d6s, and then let me know how many evens you get, and if you get a 6.
Okay, so I'm rolling 3. Oh, I my first dice was a 6. Does that... So
yes.
1 6. Okay.
And then you can keep going?
Yep, 1 6, 1 4, and a 1.
Nice, okay. So every even is a success. Every odd is a fail, right?
Fail.
And every 6 explodes. Essentially, you get to roll it again to see if you get another success or failure. But I already rolled the bandit on my end of the frame here, and that was a failure. So you draw the initiative for the beginning of the fight. So yes, we'll say that Sully channels the nature magic. You see the vines lurch out and begin to entangle and try to wrap around the limbs and the appendages of the hunting dogs and the bandit. The bandit is desperately trying to, carve away with the hunting knife and pull themselves free. But you gain the initiative in the fight, so you will get the first attack, and then we will roll through our normal initiative space, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yep. Wait, do I attack again?
Yeah, well, I was just trying to determine if we went first or they went first, so...
Oh, got you.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, so that means I go one more time.
Correct.
Sorry. Thank you. Sorry, I am stuck here. Instead of an attack, I want to try... So now that he's stuck in place, she's going to turn to the closest one of the dogs next to her, and she's going to say... I don't want to hurt you, but if you hurt me, I'm going to have to hurt you. But we can be friends instead. And, like, as she's saying this, I want to say, like, there's, like, this, like, when, like, you see heat in the air and it kind of reverberates a little bit and you can kind of see the heat. You kind of see that passing through, like, the air from her to, like, the dog, and she's going to try to beast tame.
Ooh, okay, very cool. All right, so then how many dice do you have for beast taming?
I only have 2.
All right, so it'll be 2 on 2.
Yep. All right. Okay, first roll is a 2. Second roll is a 3, so...
Oh, okay. So the hound actually got 1 success and 1 fail as well. So we tied. So I have to double check here. Everyone, we're learning the system as we go. Each round, both sides roll the appropriate amount of dice for their cliches. The side with most successes wins, resulting in the loss of a cliche dice. Sorry.
No.
I got.
I also do not know.
Let's pull up. What happens on a tie? Character teams, victory and defeat. We are doing the thing. We are doing it live. I thought it had it right here. Each round both. Depending on the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Reese's. Oh, that's why. Sorry, 1 second. There are so many PDFs. Goliath. If combatants each score the same amount, the combatant who rolled the fewest dice is the winner. Only if they roll the same amount of dice as a tie, really a tie. So we both rolled 2 dice, right?
Yep.
And we both rolled 1 success.
A success and a fail.
So truly it is the most tying of a tie. So no effect in either way. No one loses a die either way.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
So you can narrate
but my
how...
effect fails.
Correct, yes.
Okay. So Sully, this is not, beast taming is not her strongest skill. She's currently learning it. It's something she's kind of been picking up as she's like grown up and interacted with animals. And so she, like that heat I was talking about that's kind of coming from her to the wolf, it kind of wavers around the wolf and kind of breaks off, and you kind of see it just dissipate. And she's like, oh no, we might have to hurt him.
And the hound snarls back, brushing off your magical effect. Okay, so I think that is going to be everything for Sully. Okay, so hounds are gonna go. I guess. Well, first of all, let's see. There's really no like that the bandit and the hounds. They're kind of treated as one entity. So narratively, we can kind of choose when the bandit like breaks free, right, and kind of does its thing.
Yeah.
So let's see here. We're gonna say that the 2 hounds. Well, let's see if I'll just roll a random dice, see if the bandit breaks free. Bandit's still struggling. And so now let's give the hound, I guess since the hound's right on top of you, Sully, it's going to try to take a bite out of you. But that is, and then roll your, so it's going to be your cliche, the hounds versus whatever cliche you want to use to defend yourself with.
Okay, I'm going to use strong arms.
Okay, yeah.
And that's going to be 4 dice.
Oh my gosh.
So it's my strongest power. All right, first roll is a 4.
Nice.
Then a 3. Then a 5. And then a 6. Yes.
Okay, so 2 successes?
Yeah.
Nice.
2 successes, one of them being a 6.
Excellent. So, normally you could re-roll that one to see if you need to, but the hounds only rolled 2 ones.
Perfect.
So you can narrate how you defend yourself with your big, strong arms.
All right, Sully just kind of get into like a defensive stance and hold her staff out horizontal and just kind of shove the staff into the dog's mouth and just kind of fend him off that way.
Excellent. You can hear sort of a pained yelp as you like push the hound off. But that is a loss of 1 die. So the hounds are down to 1 die, which means they're pretty much. I should say the bandit and the hounds are down to 1 die. So we're looking pretty good so far.
They collectively share the 2 die.
Yes.
Oh, I misunderstood that. Okay. Oh wow.
So,
all right.
Well, then, do you want to increase the challenge if you want? Basically, instead of like D&D where each individual creature is like its own thing, in Reese's because it's like very simplified, it's like our team versus their team essentially. So you can evaluate every creature as like in the fight as a conjoined sum of all of the challenge.
Okay,
So-
that
so-
makes sense. And
yeah.
so for when we attack, right? Like when it's our turn, do we collectively share die too?
No. If
Okay.
we want, so the person who is rolling in that moment is the one that is mostly contributing. There is a roll where we can all roll dice as a team, but like we only roll the people whose turn it's not can roll one die, and the only one die. And if it's a 6, it contributes. If it's not, it doesn't. Essentially.
Okay, makes sense. All right, cool. No, let's keep it here for now. I feel like we're gonna come across harder fights anyway.
Okay. So that's the case. Vago, I believe that's you.
Vago is going to approach, making some like sigils in the air with his hands, and little flares of dark magic start to form in the air, and then he sort of like just pushes it toward the hounds. It turns into like this kind of purple amorphous gas, and it attempts with a dark spell to put them both to sleep.
Ooh. Interesting.
So that's going to be dark magic. I got 3 d6s for that. Let's see what happens.
Ooh.
That's 2 successes.
Hey.
Wow, okay, here, wait, sorry. Wow, okay, Garrett, I'm very sorry.
Did you get 6s? This is exciting.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 6s in total, kept exploding off of one die. I kept rolling.
Bruh.
Yeah. So, in that scenario, I mean, you can narrate how you lose this contest and the hound bites back at you, but essentially, yeah, that's going to be a fail, and you're going to lose one of your cliche die in that moment.
I'll just say that the sleeping spell is trying to take effect, and then one of the dog's stomachs just growls, just like deep, visceral hunger that reminds it, like, no, this is my next meal. And it's such a strong instinctual urge that the magic is repelled back into Vago, and Vago's movements sort of slow down. He doesn't fall asleep, but it messes with him.
Oof. So that's going to be a loss of a die as the hound repels your magic. All right, hound again. I guess the hound we'll get Cassius, I guess, involved in this. Because I don't know if the wolves would be so interested in trying to eat a giant made of stone, looking at Vago. But Caspian probably looks like a pretty good target. So I say, well, actually, let's. I'll just roll a die randomly to see if the. Okay, so we'll say the hunter at this point finally like cuts his ropes free, his vines free, and as the wolves are beset upon trying to negate Sully and Vago's magic, the hunter raises his oversized hunting knife and rushes at Caspian, as Caspian, once again draws a very defensive position with the blade. So this is going to be Caspian versus the what is his name? the bandit. 3, 6, 9. Yes,
The toothless bandit.
Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna say in this moment that Caspian has to rely on maybe not some of his better con artist burglary skills. Kind of has to rely on his knight skills, which are actually his like worst skill. So let's go with the bandit. Okay, let's go with. Okay. Nice. Okay, so it was 1 die versus 2 die, or 1 die versus 1 die, I should say. The bandit got a success, but so did Caspian, and Caspian's was a 6, which allowed him to roll again, which was another success.
Hey.
So we'll say that the bandit raises the knife, cuts himself free, runs to Caspian, ha! with the knife in hand, and you watch as Caspian, there's a flare of starlight behind his eyes, and it's almost as if Caspian can see a few flickers of seconds before the hunter is actually about to make his move, right? Because he's sort of using his fortune-telling powers to get the slightest bit of an advantage in the blade work. And as the bandit sinks down with the blade, Caspian once again performs a feint and a parry, which demonstrates the fact that despite his more commonplace appearance, he has been, at one point in his life, well-trained on the sword, and easily catches the knife with his blade and flicks his wrist, and you can see the knife goes sailing into the air, and then gets, plunked into the ground, into the hillside a few moments later. And Cassian twists the blade and sort of turns it, lays the edge of it against the collarbone of the bandit, and doesn't strike, just lays it on there, and sort of narrows the still glowing eyes and says, "I think it's about time that you kneel." And so they're out of dice, so they have officially lost this combat. So we get to narrate what happens to the losers in this scenario. And Garrett, I believe you're still in control of the bandit narratively.
Sure. The bandit does in fact sink to his knees, and his eyes are kind of locked onto Caspian. You fight like. And there's a bit of recognition, he just can't bring himself to say what it is.
Ooh.
Any Caspian reaction?
To this, Caspian would take the flat edge of the sword and so twist it so the cold steel presses against the bandit's cheek, and just glowers and says, "I'd keep that quiet if I were you."
Well, you're gonna kill me or you're gonna let me go?
That depends. What kind of mercy were you gonna offer us if we lost?
Mercy. There's precious little of that these days.
He was gonna eat my ox.
I look over my shoulder, and I look over towards the Magus. And Amber, I still believe you're in control of the Magus right now.
Yep.
And I say, "These are your lands we're trying to defend, Magus. What do you normally say is the sentence for poachers and bandits on your hills?"
I want to say the Magus would be. I don't see this bandit playing any role in the resurrection of magic. It's more likely he'll die out here on his own without resources. Take his blade and his weapons. And Sully, if you can, send his dogs away. And we let him go on his own.
To this, Caspian keeps the blade sort of pointed at the bandit, but gets enough distance that he can take the knife, and he twists it and he slings it across his own waist, so he claims the blade, and then says, "You heard the Magus. Make yourself scarce before we change our minds."
You're gonna sentence me to starve? No weapons, no dog?
You are a threat, and we are sparing your life, and I feel like that is reward enough.
So this is the Magus, is it? And he backs away from the blade. But he spits in the dirt.
Oh.
And then he turns and books it.
Loki says, "Still seems cruel." I mean, yeah, that's kind of what we said the Magus was, always teaching people harsh lessons, so.
Could be. Vago, as the bandit is running away, is going to just raise a stony arm, and it's going to start flaring with magic, just purple all along here, gathering into one little mote, as if he's about to fire off a bolt of energy.
Towards the bandit?
Yeah.
Oh shit! I think the Magus is gonna come over and like lay a hand on Vago's shoulder and says, "Don't need to waste your magic here, friend."
And it just sinks back into the arm, and Vago puts it down again.
Oh.
No need.
I love how about business Vago is.
Vago's ride or die.
Vago's absolutely ride or die.
Once Caspian sees that the bandit has made a far ways away and the dogs are running after him, quick at his heels, once again sort of twists the blade with an expert motion, slides it back into its sheath, and looks back at the Sully and the Magus. You did good, Sully. You were right. Heard him coming a mile away.
Oh, thank you. So, you have a secret?
So this, he gives you a sort of like little half grin.
We all got our secrets, Sully.
Yeah, I guess. But if we become friends, will you tell me your secret?
If we become friends, Sully, I'll tell you that secret.
I'm gonna hold you to it.
And I want to say with that is end scene.
End scene. All right, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
The morning ritual has concluded. So really, I think the only person who lost any slumber party in the future, says Loki. Yeah, I feel like Sully, if we were having a slumber party, like Sully's like body would cast such a large shadow over. Like I could just like take refuge in the shadow of Sully. So yeah, I think the only person who ended up losing a dice in that interaction was Vago, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right, so I think collectively we decided that our dice won't regenerate until we move on to the next map point. So we'll keep that in mind for any scenes that might involve Vago coming up. But Caspian, as my token's on the Oak Hill, since that's what I chose. Sully would be at dawn, which means Vago, you have your chance to choose a new scene and invite who you would like to invite.
I'm going to move. Am I? Yes, I am. I'm going to move Vago to making camp. I'm going to invite everybody but the mages.
Okay.
Mm.
We've been traveling for a little bit of time now, getting away from that spot where we were attacked at our last camp. And basically, we've made some progress toward, was it Barley Town coming up there?
Barley Town.
We're essentially we're 2 hills away from that last hill. The whole forest behind us. But the sun is setting, and we need to start making ourselves safe for the night.
Mm.
So I think we've all sort of decided the mages still needs to rest.
Yeah.
Against their will, we have forced them to just sit, meditate, commune, get back in touch with whatever the weave is in this world.
The weave. You just said it.
Sure. Beg, borrow, and steal, huh?
Yeah.
So Vago, for his part, albeit a little shakily, is going to be sort of pacing circles around this little clearing where we're making our camp, putting a sigil here and a sigil there, wards and presumably wards and protective spells that will keep us from further attack. What are Caspian and Sully doing?
So what's our day? What's our time of day right now?
Let's say we're it's just starting to get darker. Like sunset's a little bit gone, but there's a little purple stealing into the sky.
I think the Caspian would be sitting on a hillside, not too close to the party, giving like a respectable amount of distance. You know, Caspian, is falling into our reluctant hero loner trope. So he's gonna, the perfect distance between being with the party and having his space on a hillside. I'm gonna say that he has brandished his sword, and he is sort of laying it sort of halfway against his lap. His like one knee's propped up, and he's running a cloth along the blade to sort of I'm assuming when he fought the bandit, and we kind of described the bandit as being like disheveled and dirty. When he was like placing the blade on his armor, and his cheek probably scuffed up the blade a little bit. So he's polishing the blade, and sort of very idly, because you can see most of his attention is actually skyward, and he's just sort of keeping an eye out for which constellations, maybe out tonight, where the cloud cover's going to break, what stars seem prominent, just kind of keeping a bead on what the stars may tell them for the journey ahead. That's Caspian.
I want to say Sully is just kind of humming to herself, like,
And she's setting up like their actual campsite, like being the strong arms of the group. She's setting up the campsite. She's
So I'm doing
she's
nothing
building
helpful.
a fire.
Everyone's
It's
being
fine.
helpful to me.
She is making a fire that is slightly too big for y'all, but is like the perfect fire size for someone of her stature. So she's building a big ass fire, just humming along to herself, seemingly completely unaware of what's happening around her.
Vago is going to reach the end of his circle, fill in a last ward, and suddenly sort of shift into that like overnight shutdown sleep mode for just a second, and then shift back into normal. Walk directly over to Caspian and kill him. Just kidding.
And murder him dead.
It's still kind of heavy footfalls, but kind of a quiet approach for Vago. And he leans down and speaks, but rather than being in Vago's voice, it comes out as the Magus's.
Whoa! Plot twist! I love that. Okay, cool.
And casual as you please, the Magus through Vago says, "So, what do the stars pretend?"
Well, I've heard tales of the Lord of Barley Town. Sort of a self-involved sort. I'm trying to get a bead on whether we'll be received openly and kindly. I've not received a clear answer yet.
Are there clouds in your vision?
This he like shoots like a sideways glance at the Magus through Vago, and sort of rolls his eyes for a second and says, "Not exactly, but I still like to believe, as much as some may refute the fact, that no matter what the stars say, we have a certain element of free will, right? I think the current stars are telling me that the Barley Lord's is a little more ornery than we give him credit to be. I think he might give us a bit more resistance than we might like."
Do you know why?
Listen, I'm not the Magus, okay? I get inklings, I get whispers. I'm an astronomancer. I'm not a wizard. My sight only goes so far.
And the body of Vago turns toward Sully across the camp, still shouting, but in the Magus's voice. Sully, Caspian does not believe that the Lord of Barley Town will greet us hospitably. Why do you think this might be?
The Lord of Barley Town. The Lord of Barley Town. I don't know if I know anything about him. I don't know if I've ever even been to Barley Town. Maybe it's because I'm a giant. Do they like giants in Barley Town?
Why should they not?
Most people don't like giants.
To this
Caspian, do you like giants?
Well, I gotta say, Sully's the first one I met, and she's proven useful, he says, keeping ever neutral. To this, though, to the Magus specifically saying, like, why do you think the Barley Lord would not greet us hospitably? He says, well, you know, Magus, you could ask me to consult the stars, or you could ask me my opinion, because I think they might be a little different.
Oh.
Are they?
Might be.
Are they?
Yes.
I think that some people, he says with a certain amount of cold specificity, might, especially the common folk, might be a little, let's say, not willing to allow someone like the Magus, who has historically tried to be as uninvolved with the people of the land as possible, only coming out to teach them harsh lessons, no matter what kind of trouble they seem to be in. It seems like when the shoe is on the other foot, and the Magus might need some help, why should the Barley Lord acquiesce? What has the Barley Lord have to give the Magus that the Magus has not given him in return?
Sounds very much like someone else I think we know.
Yeah, there's a trend.
Now,
isn't
was
there?
that your opinion or the star's opinion?
That one is squarely mine, but let's say it's well informed.
I wonder if there's something we might do about all that. And before anyone can answer, again, Vago goes sleep mode and back, and the purple glow is returned to his eyes. He turns to the Magus and says across the clearing, "Rest, yo." He even just slowly wags a finger just to really punctuate his point. And then just goes back about hammering in tent poles and helping pick up firewood.
Sully's gonna
And the
wander
Magus-
over. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say the Magus continues to just meditate, sitting as still as he has been this whole time.
Sully's gonna wander over to Caspian and not sit next to him, but kind of like just stand, like across, and is like,
But behind her, in front of me.
behind. Like I'm gonna walk up behind you. I assume that you were facing this way, looking up.
No,
So
no,
she's just
that-
looming over him.
No, that's perfect. I imagine like she walks up behind him, and there's like a moment of silence, and Caspian is like, "I know you're behind me." So there's like a massive shadow.
And she's gonna go, I'm curious. You have such a bad opinion of the Magus and magic and all that. What would get you to change your opinion? Maybe what would make you change your opinion would help us with the Barley Lord.
Well, if hypothetically I was asked a favor of someone I've historically snubbed, so to speak. I mean, I would want something more than someone's good word. I'd want to be shown something. I'd want some tangible proof that they mean to actually be of use, be of help, once they've gotten what they've wanted out of this transaction.
So, like a reward of some sort?
Well, a reward's one thing, but I mean, the Barley Lord is, I imagine's got enough gold to keep himself satisfied. No, I'd want some demonstration of good faith. I'd want to know that at the end of the day, the next time I needed something, that I was gonna be heard, and I was gonna be taken care of. Not left to my own devices.
I wonder if the mages could provide like some sort of protection or maybe counsel to these places. I don't know. I
Well,
don't get cities.
Well, I think that's something that people have wanted from the Magus for a long time, but ever inscrutable, the Magus has had their own ideas of how they can be useful to this place. Now I think that's all catching up with them.
Interesting.
And then she's gonna saunter back over.
And I think with this thought firmly in your mind, the group sort of falls into their own introspective silence, back to their encampment rituals. I think there we can end that scene. Now, this is another one of those.
Oh, right, yeah.
Where at the end of it, yeah, there's a trait. Honest, clever, or kind. What do I want to say? I'm going to give clever to Sully. Because I think she's sort of picked up on the thing the Magus was trying to do, which was to sort of get Caspian thinking ahead, but he didn't get there on his own initiative. Sully is the one who kept getting more answers out, following the end of that thread. So maybe more than she thinks. Sully is clever.
Sully, the clever giant of Mistward.
Excellent. And you say
so
that's...
Vago is going back to the hills.
And that's the end of our scene?
That's the end of that scene.
Oh man, now it's my turn. Now all the pressure's on me. All right, so because everyone has already played out a scene in the Oak Hills, I can choose to pick a new scene in the Oak Hills, or I can move on to Barley Town. And I think what I'm going to do... I'm gonna move... you know what? I'm gonna pick up on the Harper's Road, just because it's the last road before Barley Town. So this will be the perfect segue for the next person to get into the next scene set. And so I'm gonna say we are back on the road. It is like maybe morning, could even be the next morning. Sully is on Ollie. The Magus at this point, we'll say, has regained enough magic that they are in their raven form, and they're sort of flying a little bit ahead of us, sort of leading the way, sort of scouting ahead. Vago trudging behind ever dutifully, and Caspian on his horse. And I'm going to say, because the Magus picked up that Sully has been very clever so far, as they're all walking, I'm going to invite Sully to this scene, but only as the Magus with me, so far. And there's going to be like a small pinprick of light that appears from the light of the raven form of the Magus, as Sully hears what begins like the rustling of leaves behind her ears, and then slowly but surely the Magus's voice begin to swallow her thoughts, and says, "You've journeyed a long way from the Mistwoods, Sully."
Yeah, it's been a journey. A lot of new things and experiences and people.
Yes, people. They are important to the people of this realm. People help motivate them in many ways. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think so.
Are there those in your life you feel motivated by, Sully, to continue forward?
Oh, absolutely. Mine may not be as much as people outside of my parents, um, but I've always heard stories of giants wandering, and it's just hard to believe that my family is the last of us. So maybe I'm holding on to this idea that if we can somehow strengthen magic or bring it back, I'd be able to find more of my people. Um, but also, it's just this world and the magic that exists in the forests and in life in general. I can't imagine what this world would look like without it.
Have you met any giants beyond your mother and father?
Never.
And they've taught you everything you've known about your culture and kin?
Everything I know has been passed down from my mother and my father, but it's all stories. Nothing is here.
You said once that Umbra was the land where the giants came from.
That's what my mom told me.
What stories have your kin from when the giants passed over these waters and settled these lands?
My mom tells me often about a story of the giants building this great tower, and it was like a tower that they held like political hearings at. I don't know what to call them, but it was kind of like the way they established like the hierarchy and giant culture and how they chose new rulers and discussed squabbles and such. It was kind of the center of the village, but it was kind of a feat of engineering, as some might call it, but very simple for giants because we're strong and big. But apparently it's beautiful. My mom says that it's told made of like this white marble that like glistens iridescent in the sun and has roofs of gold and all of that. So I hope I can see it one day.
And this is all beyond the waves at Umbra.
Yep, all beyond the waves of Umbra, apparently, if it's still there, or if it existed in the first place.
And this was a place of cultural significance, or was this a place of great magic?
Both. A lot of folks, like the people, from what I know, the higher up you are in this tower is the higher level of magic you can use. And the tower, the people who live there, or the leaders of these tribes, kind of funneled magic into this tower to make things happen. I don't know what those things are, though. Maybe some type of mechanism. Maybe they're things like Vago. I don't know.
And why do you think that your people, after coming to these shores, did not create a new tower? A new place of great magic?
I don't know. I've thought about that a lot. And I don't know if something happened to them. I don't know if some knowledge was lost. I don't know. There seems to be some period of missing time or missing records from when we first got here or when giants first got here. I don't know. My mom never knew. My dad never knew.
Yes, I've heard many tales of the giants, but since I've arrived in your world, even some of their ancient lore escapes me. But I appreciate what little you were able to share. Hopefully it will inform the path to come.
I hope so. Also, can everyone else hear me, or is this in my head?
You can almost hear like the Magus like chuckling in your ear, and from above you can hear like the raven sort of like sort of like there's like a simultaneous like laugh between both bodies. It is all within your head, my dear.
A little scary. Never had this happen before, but I'm gonna go with it.
And with that, the Magus says, "Then let me trouble you no further." And you once again hear like the crinkling of leaves getting like more and more distant until it finally dissipates, and you feel the presence of the Magus's mind leave your own. And I'm gonna say that's the end of that scene. I feel like the world just got a really big drop of giant lore. New giant lore just dropped, which is pretty sick.
I'm happy with that. So yeah, I'm gonna say that was the end of my scene at Harper's Road.
Cool. And with that, I'm gonna move us all into Barley Town.
Barley Town.
So do we start at like hospitality of the Barley Lord, right? Or is this like free will to go anywhere within Barley Town?
I think you get to choose as long as we're
Okay.
at Barley Town. I mean, I chose to do the Oak Hills scene because it was like it seemed like a natural lead-in, but I'm pretty sure as long as, because Barley Town is a part of, well, actually, I don't know, you choose. Live your truth, whatever you feels right.
Okay. I'm gonna say we're gonna head into the inn of the Axe and the Fiddle.
Who's we?
We is the entire party and the mages.
Okay. All right, what's going on at the Axe and Fiddle?
All right, so we're in this inn, and we have shown up on a very lively day. There is a bard singing a tune in the corner. There are barmaids slinging around these big mugs of ale. There is like a dart throwing contest in the corner. There's a drunk man yelling at another one in the corner. A brawl looks like it might start. And we are kind of seated in a corner of this inn, facing everyone so we can see the entire landscape, but we're not currently like inside of it yet. And the barmaid's gonna come over to us and go, "So what are y'all having?"
Ooh, I have two questions.
Yes.
One, does the inn look equipped to deal with patrons like of unusual make and size? Like, is that like, does Sully and Vago fit comfortably? And like, if not, does that draw eyes?
Oh, good question. No, this bar is not fit for the patrons of Vago and Sully's size. Sully's kind of like hunched in this tiny little chair, but she's not putting her full weight down because she feels like it's gonna break. And yeah, there are definitely a lot of eyes on us, and it's kind of why they put us on this corner, because it was like, but yeah, Sully's uncomfortable in this chair, might possibly get up soon.
And does the Magus assume says, what is Loki says, "What is this, a chair for ants?" How are we to teach these children if we can't even fit them in the building?
Inclusivity.
And does the Magus adopt a form that is like more, or I should say less, conspicuous, or
Magus-y?
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, I didn't think about this. Okay, so I want to say the Magus has transformed themselves into like a very like striking, beautiful like woman figure.
Ooh.
Very. What did we decide the Magus's appearance was? Please hold. I'm checking this back up.
Yeah. I have it written down here.
Same. Okay. Russet skin, short crop, black hair. Okay, so the Magus is gonna assume this like very striking female form. It's gonna have a long curly black hair, same piercing hazel eyes. We're keeping that. Still dressed in mismatched furs, but no antlers. The animal totems are still there, but they still have the brassy skin and the long dark hair. So very much just kind of like a shift.
Yeah.
Not the most.
Do they still rattle when they walk?
Oh, absolutely.
Perfect. That's
Probably
all we needed.
more.
That's all we needed.
Yeah, so the barmaid's gonna come over. "So what are y'all having?" And she's shooting looks at Vago and Sully like, "Oh my god."
To this, Caspian gives a once-over to Sully and Vago as well, because I think Caspian now realizes that he has no idea how old Sully actually is. And sort of like leans him for a second and is like, can you drink? Is that a thing that you can, have you?
Drink what? Water?
As he looks to the barmaid for a second, like, she's joking.
She's joking. You know, like booze, like alcohol. Like what do giants drink to help them, like loosen up?
I've never had alcohol before. The giants, we drink a lot of water. A lot of water.
You gotta stay hydrated when you're a giant.
A lot exactly. It's a lot of body to keep moisturized. We eat a lot of fruit, so a lot of fresh juices and things like that. But I've never had alcohol before.
Fruit. Okay, that's a start. And I look to the waitress and I say, wine for myself and my friend here.
Would you like a white or would you like a red?
Always red. Always red.
And Sully's just like excited in the corner, like, oh my god, I'm gonna try alcohol. So she's like, all right, 2 reds. And for you? And she's looking at Vago, not exactly sure how to address Vago, so it just kind of trails off.
Vago takes a slow look around the rest of the tavern to see what everyone else is drinking, and by and large, it being a Barley Town, it's a beer crowd. So he looks back from the flagons to the barmaid and says, "Beer."
1 beer for you. And looks at the mages, and this one goes, wow, we got ourselves a looky here. And to this I'll assign Wolf you as the mages.
Of course. Of course. To this, the magus, in their newly adopted form, gives a coy smile and says, flattery will get you everywhere. And then we'll also join. We'll say, you can make it 3 wines. Thank you.
Okay, so 3 red. She kind of like winks at the mages and gives 2 like weird glances to Sully and Vago.
And beer.
Oh, I'm sorry, and the beer. So 3 reds and a beer. Coming right back.
And the magus smiles knowingly at the waitress as she saunters off.
Wow. And you can see her like the back of her neck like blushing red a little bit. Like.
Should Vago have get wine?
Caspian like looks quizzically for a moment and says, I actually don't think it matters what you order. I'm not quite sure how it works.
Does not matter.
Yeah, I don't think it matters.
Sully looks
And this seems to please Vago very much. He made the right choice. Good.
Sully looks at Vago and is like, can you taste things?
Oh, to me?
Yeah, to Vago.
That is an excellent question, Vago. Can you taste things? I don't think I've ever asked you this, says the magus.
I have not tasted, so I do not know if I can taste.
You've never eaten anything?
Shrugs.
Sully's shocked. Just look of shock. Does that mean you can't smell anything either?
I think can smell, but not like you smell.
I don't think I smell, says Caspian. Not like that, Caspian. What do you smell, then, Vago?
Vago kind of makes a show of, like, inhaling, but there's no airflow, like, there's no sound. He just sort of goes... Many people.
Oh.
Many small magic.
Small magic, says the magus, stroking her chin thoughtfully. The magic around you? The magic of the people, or something different?
He just nods. as an inclusive yes.
I'm impressed, Vago. the ability to detect the inherent magic around you is a very advanced skill for the senses.
As this bit of small talk is going on, I'm going to bring in the theme of this little scene.
Yes, please do.
There's the plucking of strings as it's sort of an unassuming little stage in the back center of the room. A local troubadour begins to, not quite on pitch, sing a very, for Caspian probably a very familiar little tune.
Ooh.
That you could probably hear in any town. Like, this is the cover band of Barley Town. This is the local...
They're the Barley Lords, right? We are the Barley Lords!
They're playing, like, 70s rock music equivalent. It's all Zeppelin and...
Right. a little yacht rock sprinkled in there to keep people...
Yeah. But tavern core.
Yeah.
Tavern core.
Look at that equivalent.
If that is not already a genre of music, it desperately needs to be one.
Absolutely.
It must be.
Yeah. Okay, sorry, you're on.
That's all I'm gonna say about it for now.
But it's a song that I recognize.
It's like a popular song of the day. It is the Ragnar the Red.
No, not Ragnar the Red. All the people
that is Caspian's exact reaction to it. Oh God, not this song again.
You can see there's definitely an annoyance that grows over Caspian's face, but also there's a bit of an annoyance, but after that wave sort of passes over, there's sort of like a deep exhalation of breath, and there's almost like a somberness to his mood as he watches. He sort of like gets lost in his thoughts, and it's like a sort of a almost like a, what do you call it, like a 1,000-yard stare, just sort of a... Loki says not so much tavern core, but there is bard core, which this could very much.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is.
Yes.
Sort of like almost like staring through the stage, almost staring through the bard as he listens to the song.
The song starts to falter a little bit and like fall apart as the bard notices Caspian sort of staring through him. And he goes, "Oi, mate, you got a problem?"
And in this moment, the barmaid comes back and goes, "I got your drinks."
And she's like placing them down on the table.
Caspian, sort of like awaking from his trance at both the waitress appearing and being called out, like sort of like mind still fuzzy, just sort of absently reaches for the glass and like kind of hand waves like, thank you, thank you. Sort of collecting himself.
All right, great lad. You want to hear something else instead? You got any suggestions?
As long as it isn't from Stormguard, I'll be glad to hear it.
On that we can agree. Eh? And there's a little bit of a chuckle throughout the room at this putting down of Stormguard.
There's a moment, despite the fact that Caspian was the one that disparaged Stormguard, he does seem a little surprised that the rest of the crowd thinks that's funny. Almost like he's trying to get a beat on why there seems to be a communal understanding of that.
All right. I've got one then. This one's not from Stormguard, but is about Stormguard. How about the Barley Lord in the castle, eh? How's that sound? And there's a few, like... There's a pretty serious amount of, like, whistles and, like, pounding on tables of approval. All right, you like that one, huh? Here we go. And he starts to strum a little chord. And he begins singing the song, and it is apparent from the beginning that it is about some leader of Stormguard with all the money in the world who just is He just needs more. He just needs more money. He doesn't have enough. Oh, his woe is him. And there's stuff about the starving peasants giving up their last copper piece to fill his coffers, and still it's not enough. And it's very very critical of the Storm Guardian leadership, shall we say?
To this, you can see Caspian is sort of like, starts like drumming his fingers on the table, sort of like impatiently. And as the song continues, you can see like he almost like balls his fist up a little bit, and like he's very much tightening the throttle on his glass, sort of becoming like increasingly more perturbed as the song continues. That's about Stormguard.
Vago is going to reach over and pat Caspian on the shoulder and go, Caspian, friend, drink wine like this. He takes his flagon, raises it to his mouth, and pours the beer into his mouth. And it goes in. It doesn't slosh everywhere.
I was going to say, there's like a second I thought.
Kind of like, yeah, just...
But there is a sound of basically like he just opens his mouth and dumps it, and it goes in, and there's a sound like a pot filling up with liquid. Just
yes.
And then he pats his chest, and there's like a slosh. Now you remember, drink.
And like with his eyes still locked on the bard, not even privy to all of the comedic happenings of Vago drinking his drink. But here's the word drink, and almost like instinctively takes the glass and just like tilts it back, and just almost like he shoots it. Like it's like too
exactly
much.
like Vago did.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly like Magus did. Shoots it, but then puts his glass back on the table, and as he does so, there's a bit of a thud on the bar top. And he says, "I thought we said we weren't going to hear anything more about Stormguard, friend."
The bard coincidentally finishes the song with a. There's a clapping throughout the room. There's whistling. There's stomping on the tables, and he turns back to Caspian and goes, I thought you said you didn't want to hear anything from Stormguard. That wasn't from Stormguard. That was from right here in Barley Town. All right. No more Stormguard. How about you? And he points over at Sully. You there, the tall one. Not the tall one, the really tall one.
Me?
You're very, very tall. What does a very, very tall person like yourself listen to? Hey, what do you want to hear?
What's your favorite song?
My favourite song? I can't play my favourite song, apparently. I just played it, and that nonce over there doesn't like it.
That what?
I'm kidding. Well, you must have one favourite song, haven't you?
Do you know anything about giants?
Is that the name of the song? Do you know anything about giants?
He's like, I know. Not that one. Because you're a giant. No, I don't think I know anything about giants. And someone else in the crowd is like, no, sing about the Giant Slayer. Sing about the Giant Slayer. No, not the...
Giant Slayer? And at this, Sully, like, repeats what she saw Caspian do and just, like, shoots back the wine and slams it on the table. But a little bit too hard because Sully, she breaks the glass.
I think now the rest of the tavern has caught on to the simmering, seething mood of the corner table.
With all the...
Aside from the golem with the beer dribbling down his chin. And the Magus, who is... Well, what is the Magus doing?
The Magus is, like... Being that the Magus, once again, wants people to learn their own lessons, even if they're harsh. I think, is like swirling her glass of wine, like very much like as if you were going to like a tasting, like savoring every moment, like smelling the moats, tilting it back, slow sips, and she is watching Caspian and Sully in their respective moments. But there's almost like an analytical observation going on, as if she is taking a deep recounting of their moods when these things are happening, and like almost like not like she's like gauging them for weaknesses, but it's almost like, is this moment a test? Are they going to fall short in this moment, or are they going to rise above their respective qualms? Degree Farmer says, Mage sounds like a lit auntie. Like just like watching like all like the tea happening across the. Yeah, I mean, no, I honestly I would say just like letting it happen, watching what's going down, seeing if anyone's gonna make a false move, and if they're gonna learn a harsh lesson, I think she's gonna let it be on their terms.
At the mention of the Giant Slayer, Sully, not attempting to intimidate, but 9-foot giant, walks up to the person, like shattered glass still in hand because she just hasn't like let go yet, and goes, "Do you know something about a Giant Slayer?"
No, it's a song. It's a song. It's not actually. It's not. I don't even think it's a true story. I think tell them the song. I don't know the song. I said before, I don't know any songs about giants. Come on, man. I'm sorry. Can I get you a drink? Can I buy you another drink? What was that? A white wine? Red wine? What? It looks like red. It's dripping.
Oh, I'll take a red.
Okay. It looks like. Can you? Her.
The barmaid's like, I'm on it. And she goes and she rushes to the bar and she grabs like a jug of this red wine, like not jug, but like a flagon bigger than just like a tiny little wine glass. She already saw Sully break the glass one. He hands her like this like wooden mug just full of red wine and kind of distributes them all also back to the table. Kind of like on the house watching this happen.
I'm about to say with the connection that the Magus had shared with the barmaid before, as she comes back around to pour the wine, she says, looking at the waitress, and I'm sure this will be entirely complimentary considering the situation we found ourselves in your fine establishment.
Oh, considered it comped. You just let me know if you want a little treat after.
And she winks again.
The Magus says, "I will do just that," with another knowing smile behind her wine.
And then she just kind of
Vago is going to at some point before, in the middle of the chaos, let's say, he takes his flag and then thumps it on the table, at least breaking a splinter off of it, just following what everyone else is doing.
Yeah, what everyone else was doing, yeah.
He takes up his new flagon of red wine and turns toward the bard and says, I think better you play Ranger's Road. And the bard looks up and goes, yeah, that's a crowd pleaser. Let's do that. And he starts strumming another song, and it's very like slow, very arpeggiated on his stringed instrument, little song. And as it goes on, it sings about travelers along the Ranger's Road and the very strange things that they see. It makes a lot of mention of the Mistwood. And the things that are in this song don't sound like things that are really actually found in the Mistwood, but they sort of sound like tall tale versions of things that people might see. It's a very sort of adventurous but fanciful, rueful song. And everyone in the room said the temperature seems to be going down a little bit.
Okay. At like this song where Sully at least recognizes about Mistwood, she's like kind of still standing, takes and shoots back the entire flagon again, and just slams it on the ground.
Caspian says, Sully, you don't always have to do that. I know this is your first time. You don't always have to do that.
But then why did you do it? And she's like slurring because she's super drunk at this point.
Oh no, we're gonna have to carry her out, like all four of us.
Oh god.
Oh no. Caspian, as she like swings around slurring, like I imagine like almost like knocks him over and has to like put a hand on her shoulder, like both hands on her shoulder and like kind of prop her back up. I had my own thing going on. We said secrets, right? When we're friends, we'll tell secrets. It's a little early for that, Sully. Just slow it down. Slow it down.
Vago takes his flagon of wine and empties it into his mouth, and again, it just sounds like a stone pitcher just filling up more and more and more. And there's sort of an aroma coming from his mouth. It's very jungle juicy. It's just like a mixture of alcohol.
Oh no, college.
That just shouldn't be. But it's really only like in the immediate vicinity y'all can
See it?
get that impression.
Oh. I want to say, I mean, in that moment, Sully's drunk. So Sully is just having a great time. Sully is just like, I want more red wine. I want more. And she's like, barmaid, another flagon, please. And she's just like shouting.
At this point, I think with the barmaid like sort of scurrying over, there's like a moment where you all look to see like where the Magus has gone, and like without any, like you didn't see them get up, you didn't see them shift between you, just like as if like there was a momentary lapse in your knowledge. You can see the Magus sort of like speaking with the barmaid, and like, you know, they're like, she's like at the bar, they're talking over like her drink, like they're leaning into each other, whispering into each other's ears, laughing. There's like a hand on a shoulder. It's all very like masterful flirtation from the Magus, and I think I think at this point we think the barmaid is like into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Barmaid's into it.
And so the Magus says, my friends are obviously very tired from a very long journey, and I think we could very much use a place to stay for the evening. Would you know of a place where we could find beds for the night? As she says, like, with a bit of a suggestive twinkle in her eye.
Well, your friends here can always just grab a room here at the tavern. But I live right around the corner if you want more comfortable accommodations.
Allow me to tell them the arrangements.
Do what you need to do. I'll be here.
And I think with that, the Magus will appear back at the table with I would say like one more like serving of wine for the party, bequeathed unto them by the barmaid, and says, if you promise to behave yourselves, you can have one more of these and then tuck in for an early night. We have some more traveling to do tomorrow.
One more flagon of wine, please.
And with that, she like knowingly gives a glance at Sully as she like slides it across the table. Sully, behave yourself. Don't make me tell you
I always
twice.
behave myself.
We'll see about that.
And with that, she downs it again. And she looks at Vago and she goes, Vago, have you ever arm wrestled before?
Oh no.
I have not for fun.
Do you want to arm wrestle for fun?
I would not recommend, but if you think it will help.
I've got strong arms. And with this, she like flexes and smacks her bicep.
Okay, and Vago drops his elbow on the table with his
Sully does the
hand out.
Sally does the same and just grasps Vago's hand like very hard. She has this very intense, drunken look on her face.
When your two arms collide, I think the Magus is going to like whisk her hand, and in that moment, I mean, I would imagine more so through Vago than anyone, since they seem to have this like sympathetic magical connection. But Vago, you feel your arm tighten up like incredibly stiffly, as if like the full range of motion is not fully under your control. And Sully, you feel something almost like a frost, like seeping its way like through Vago's hand, like own hand, into your skin, like down your arm, almost to the point where like it requires a lot of effort to like keep it held aloft like that. As she once again glowers down to both of you. I said, behave yourselves.
This is not tavern behavior.
It would be.
And Vago looked across the room at the rest of the people who are variously like belly laughing and occasionally throwing something at the bar and spitting on the floor.
Oh, sorry, we got something in chat. It says Mage being a fun sucker. To this, the Magus says, once again, I think there's a moment where it's like she's willing to let them make their own mistakes, but, you know, she has to give them the test, and says, by my count, we already owe for a broken wine, a broken wine glass, a broken pitcher, and possibly a flagon. I have a feeling that if I allow you two to go about your business, we'll owe for a table and chairs. Now, is that going to be coming out of my pocket or yours?
Vago does not have pockets.
I don't have money.
So I think yours by default.
And to this, the Magus whisks her hand again, and you feel the tension release, and then she says, "We'll see who owes if you go through with it."
Vago's brow just furrows in confusion.
Sully's like, she's contemplating.
Vago, I don't think we should do this.
I don't know what to think, so we do not do. Then he stands back to his full height, and he takes his empty flagon and raises it to his lips, and he realizes there's nothing in it. And just puts the flagon down.
And with that, I want to say that the merry night continues. The Magus maybe goes home with the barmaid, and we wrap our scene.
Excellent. I was definitely gonna have if they went through with the arm wrestle, like Sully have to like work the kitchen to help pay for the table. So good thing. Good thing you've demonstrated some restraint. Perfect. Okay, so that's the scene at the Axe and Fiddle. So I think that means it is Garrett's turn for a scene.
So I'm going to have Vago go to the farmer's market.
Yes.
Oh, no.
What we need for the journey. I think I'm going to go ahead and say that Sully does indeed spend the morning mopping up, working in the kitchen, experiencing her very first hangover.
Yep.
The Magus.
Yeah, that's a harsh lesson in and of itself.
We have our ideas about where they went.
Yeah.
But we did receive a little note in the morning saying, Caspian, take Vago to the farmer's market.
Oh, no.
Get what we need for the journey.
Very reluctantly will Caspian acquiesce. Okay, so we're at the farmer's market. What's the vibe here, storyteller?
Barley Town is actually pretty much the hub of the local farming communities. It has a very big, sprawling market with lots of cloth-tarped stalls, rows and rows of those just crates full of vegetables. Farmer over here with their carrots and potatoes, over here with their turnips and the rutabagas, all that sort of stuff. There are a few. We'll say the market sort of extends into the sort of district where there are more brick and mortar shops. You have the blacksmith with their swords and their horseshoes. You have a very small armorer. It doesn't seem like adventuring needs are really this town's forte, but they have just enough to get by for the odd, passer through. So right now, Vago and Caspian, Vago is very much following Caspian through this market, with a basket that is probably held by like 2 fingers because it's too big, too small for just looking along all of the rows and rows of produce and other goods, and just says, Caspian, what do we need for journey?
To this, Caspian has his notebook out, and he's been, there along the scribblings of his margins, there's some things he's writing. I think as he's been walking, he's been trying to keep one ear forward to see if he can still hear any sloshing around inside of Vago, still mystified about how Vago's body works.
There is no more sloshing. So at some point between last night and today, the sloshing.
Right, yeah, which I think at this point, whenever Vago says, what do we need, Caspian under his breath is well, I know what we need, but I have no idea what you need, as he's, writing, taking notes. We're gonna need some, trail rations for the road, we're gonna probably need some fresh water. I don't really know what the river-like situation is gonna be from here, and they're sort of, just, talking out loud, mostly to himself, as he's, scribbling with Caspian at his back. I'm sorry, with Vago at his back.
There is rivers, other waters between here and next place we go. There is Stormguard, there is Mistwood, there is water. But what is this trail ration?
To this, Caspian sort of stops and twists around and looks at Vago and says, you've seen people, you saw them last night, right? You see people eat and put food in their mouths, right?
Oh, why you do not just say food? Here, and he reaches out and he grabs a carrot like this, and he puts it in the basket.
No, not like this. He says it's he takes the basket and he puts the carrot back. There is food, but then there is food with a purpose, right? There's
a little and the shopkeeper behind the stall goes, You can have some carrots if you want. You have to pay for them, but they're very fine carrots.
To this, Caspian wheels around on his heels, and there's a frustrated grin on his face, trying to sell his calm in the moment. Your carrots look great, really. Some of the best carrots I've ever seen. I don't think we need them, Vago, because we are looking in particular for trail rations. As he looks back to the stall of the merchant. If you deal in that, we would be glad to maybe exchange some coin.
I don't, but where are you going? What sort of things? What you need more than trail rations? I know someone. She might know someone. What? For what? And he looks at Caspian.
Vago, sometimes people, have other people that they rely on for things that they can't, do themselves. There's the chain of command and usefulness, and he's starting to get lost in the metaphor of trying to describe very nuanced, what he imagines to be taken for granted, simplicities of human life, but it's wholly lost on Vago. Well, to be honest with you, I'm not quite sure where we're headed yet. We have and he picks his words kind of carefully. We have a trail guide, and from what I understand, the road could fork after Barley Town. And so it's gonna be one of two ways, but it really depends on where they think's best.
Oh, very interesting. Very interesting. Yes. You know what I think you need?
I can't wait for you to tell me.
You wouldn't think it. But for such a journey, with such decisions to be made, I think you need carrots.
And now that Caspian is starting to be like challenged by this merchant, I think the inner con artist in Caspian is starting to the wheels are starting to turn. Oh, I need carrots. Is that what I need? Well, I think that
I think you're undervaluing them, yes.
Right. Well, you see, I think that the trail hand that we have, is leading our merry trek forward, carries a good deal of influence, and I think that if your carrots are as hearty and as good as you say they are, I think that a charitable donation of carrots for this trailhand would speak volumes for your stall and grow your business after the people hear of how they sustained them on the long road ahead. I would like to roll my con artist versus this merchant.
I was just gonna say, we should just let me pull up. Let's say this is a challenge for a schmuck, routine for a pro. Let's call it a 10. We'll say two on two, or whatever your die is.
Okay. So you want to do the total sum of the dice?
Oh, sorry. Did I say 10? I meant 2.
2? Yeah. He definitely succeeds over 2 for sure.
I got 1 success, so we'll call that. Yeah.
I have 1 success as well, so actually we tie. But I rolled.
Hey, how many dice?
But I rolled 3 dice.
All right, so you win. Oh! You are on a grand adventure of sorts, hmm? Yes. Okay. I must give you a small selection, of course. And this person starts handing Vago like, oh, no, you know, these carrots. Oh, and I've grown some particularly. I didn't get to tell you about the rutabagas.
Oh, please, we need to hear about the rutabagas.
Just put these directly, believe me, directly in your next campfire. Let them roast among the coals, and you'll really get a nice smoky. Oh, you're going to love it. And put a few. It's sort of like a little sampler pack of vegetables, but some pretty fine specimens. And then last of all, let's see, paper feels a little expensive. Whatever the equivalent of a little business card is, they just lay right on top of the vegetables. That is me, a fine purveyor of vegetables, to tell your employer who I am. Any other adventurers that come through Barley Town. This is the booth.
Your praises will be spoken up and down the trail roads from here to Ravenhall and back again, I promise.
Oh, how exotic. Oh, well. Best be on your way. It sounds like you have much of an adventure to go on. I shan't keep you any longer. Unless you want to buy some more carrots.
You know, I think we're all carroted up. Thank you ever so much.
Oh, I don't think you ever can be, but you'll see. You'll see.
And just because Caspian is the person that Caspian is, I think on the way away from the stall, he's going to try to sleight of hand another carrot into his bag.
Yes.
So what challenge rating do you want to assign the,
My gut is to say 3 this time for really tricky stunts. Yeah.
I'm rolling a lot of 6s right now. I think.
So, you know what? I rolled 1 even, so I'm sure you beat it.
I think that not only does Caspian slide out a particularly plump carrot on his way out, but he twists it and then just starts chewing on it immediately.
I was gonna say he better.
Yeah, and just starts munching on it as soon as he starts walking down the street, and he turns to Vago and he says, And that, Vago, is how one does business. That is a full lesson in commerce by yours truly, as he's like crunching on his carrot.
Wow. I'm going to step out of frame, but I'm still going to talk for a second. As they're walking along, Vago is going to turn to Caspian and say, okay, so we have vegetables, we have recipes, rutabagas in fire until smoky, good. And then he looks to Caspian and he says, you said also people want other people too. Is this something we need to get for you?
And to this, Caspian sort of smirks and says, Vago, I don't think the kind of people we need for me are... We're going to find them in Barley Town, that's for sure. They're not here.
What kind of people is?
And maybe it's because Vago like doesn't truly understand all of like the more human elements of like their lives yet. Maybe there's something that makes him feel like his guard's a little bit down around Vago. Maybe it's just because Vago's so kind, and even if he doesn't mean to be, he's just like so sweet. And says, how did you phrase that question again? Sorry, before I answer.
What? You say people want people. Do we need to get people here at market for you?
Say, no people, you can't find them here.
What kind of people then, and where?
Where? It's a place where our road forks. I'll say that much. Maybe we'll come across it. Maybe we won't. And even if we do find our way there, there's no guarantee we'll touch base with them. But who they are? People who were important to me once, a long time ago. But I guess you can say we fell out of touch. We had our differences.
I don't understand, but I will remember. At road where cross.
You can visibly see like a cold, nervous bead of sweat roll down Caspian's forehead. Vago, don't concern yourself with this, Vago. We just have to listen.
At road where cross.
We just have to listen, Vago, to what the Magus says, Vago. Whatever the Magus says, okay?
I will run by the Magus.
No, Vago, don't run by the Magus.
And Vago's just nod. And it's a little hard to tell if it means he's not going to run it by the Magus or he thinks he understands, but he probably doesn't get it 100%.
Right. I guess that's the best we're going to get from Vago on that one, and Caspian.
I think so, too. I was going to say, I think from there they go about the rest of the farmer's market, get the essentials on top of the influencer pack of vegetables.
The influencer pack. And I will finish my carrot as we walk through town. The scene's concluded at the farmer's market?
I think Vago's going to try one, too.
Crunch, crunch, crunch.
I think that brings us to you then, Wolf.
Oh, boy.
You've got a scene in Barley Town.
Well, I feel like we made such a big show of the Barley Lord that I feel like we have to have at least one... We have to have something going on with the Barley Lord.
Sure.
And so, why don't we say that... So we're about to set off on the trail. So the Magus is walking over here, towards the road. We'll say that the Magus has returned in however many mornings it's been, looking very refreshed in their disguise. and we are all marching our way towards the gates of Barley Town. We have our supplies. Solly, I imagine, has finally worked her way through her hangover, at least for the most part. And as they are about to cross through the gates, there is like a small regiment of militia that, hup, 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 they sort of march their way towards the gates. And they sort of make a very loose line in front of the gates. Not like a very aggressive stance, but definitely, one that is cautioning for halt. And then one of the militia soldiers steps forward. You can't see really the majority of her features because they're kind of masked behind like a half helm. But you can see maybe like two loose blonde braids, which are like hanging down on either side. And she says, "Travelers, halt! You've been asked for an audience at Barley Manor by hailed Lord Barley of Barley Town. We ask that you step away from the gate and make haste for his residence and meet with our fair and kind mayor." And
Vago looks to the mages.
and the mages sort of eyes up and down the militia and says, "Are we being detained, my good friend?" And to this militia, shakes her head. "You've done nothing wrong, as far as we can tell. You are free to pass, but it would be a fly in the face of the Barley Lord." And to this, Caspian cuts a knowing glance over at the Magus, given their conversation from before. And I'm actually going to give control of the Magus over to Amber for this scene. So Caspian, once again, the militia has halted them and says, "You're free to go if you want, but you would be insulting the Barley Lord." And Caspian sort of like looks at the Magus and under his breath says, "What did I tell you? He's the stubborn one, that Barley Lord."
Well, why don't we take a look and see how we can remedy these old wounds?
"So you'll follow us then," says the guard.
Following your lead.
All right, so I will invite everyone to Barley Manor. Barley Manor. What does Barley Manor look like? I imagine, there is kind of like a picture of Barley Town here. So yeah, I do imagine that there is like a large standing building, maybe like a longhouse. I imagine it's very like dark wooden timbers, set up on this high hill overlooking everything. I think that the, Barley Town sigil is like a, like a big, like a cornucopia of golden wheat. Oh, sorry, hello? I heard something? No?
That was Katie sneezing.
Oh, Zuntai kid. Feel better. Big cornucopia of wheat, and maybe, Barley Town would be like that, and let's say like a, what do you call it? Like a sickle, like a farming sickle that's like laid over top. That's like their sigil. We'll say all the guards, aside from their like spears, instead of having like short swords, they have sickles. It's almost like a ceremonial thing to have like the farming instruments with them. And so we walk up the hill. There's like big wooden braziers on either side, like with roaring fires. We are led to big double doors, so they're like pulled open, and you can see there's a big long table where there's like a feast sort of hall situation happening, and of course there's lots of fanciful breads in various kinds of formations, and beer lining the table, and there's an elevated chair at the very far end. And you can see the Barley Lord seated upon. And the Barley Lord, I imagine, is a very self-important gentleman, sort of letting his idleness and his excesses like rule his body, dressed like, very extravagantly in like oversized clothes. I imagine that it has like dirty blonde hair that's like graying, and he has a big curly handlebar mustache and an equally long like curly like goatee. And he wears not quite a crown, but maybe like a little like a what do you call it? Like a circlet, like a little horn circlet, atop of a mostly balding head, which has some sunburn and like freckles on it. And as the party waltzes in, you can hear from like the very far end, like it echoes, like he's so far away, and it's sort of like, oh, the strange few that have come to the Barley Lord's manor. Oh, good to see you. Good to see you. Come closer. Come closer.
At this, I want to say that like they actually come closer. Like the Magus is stepping forward to meet this man with like this quizzical look and like I'm like reading the situation.
Vago follows.
Caspian as well. Solly?
Yeah, Sully is also following.
And with this, once they get close enough, you can see that the Barley Lord has an attendant at his side, and the attendant looks to be dressed like one of the ravens from Ravenhall. And I imagine that, like, because Ravenhall is close enough to Barley Town and, you know, the Barley Lord is their prominent, like, figurehead, that possibly, you know, attendants like Ravenhall attendants go on, like, sort of loan of service to nearby towns because, you know, the mages can't be bothered to help anyone, you know, so, like, that sends their proteges and the people from the school to give, like, magical counsel. And you can see, like, the Barley Lord smiles and sort of, like, twists their mustache. Oh, mages. There's no need for such trickery, such illusory notions. Please, allow me to gaze upon your true form with mine own eye.
I think it's okay that Magus drops form, so I'm gonna say the Magus like does like a slight like pulling down of his hand, and like the face changes and the form changes as his hand gets lower, or as their hand gets lower.
And the Barley Lord like raises his hands, a slow clap. Oh, look, everyone! Barley Town is so graced with the illustrious presence of the Magus at long last. Sort of like making a big show of this magical demonstration.
At him laughing, Sully's gonna be like, "Did I miss a joke? Is something funny?"
And Caspian's gonna lean over to Sully and say, "These noble types, they're all the same. They think they're hilarious."
Should we laugh?
No, decidedly not.
Okay. I feel like the Magus is just going to be like, we have a long journey ahead of us. However, we would like to stop in here, and we heard we were called, right? Please state your business.
My business? My business is that you have waltzed through my field, you have partaken of my bounty, you have treated yourselves to the finest of Barley Town, and you are to walk away without even to give me the slightest of welcomes. How long has it been since the Magus has left their ever-righteous Ravenhall? Do you think so lowly of us that you could not even be bothered to say a passing greeting to the Lord of Barley?
Do not forget the carrots. We have partaken of your fine carrots.
Yeah. Sully's confused. You had a carrot?
I had a carrot. It was a good carrot. It was a good carrot, Sully.
They are the finest carrots from
The finest carrots from here from out anywhere.
You do remember. It's good. It's good.
The Magus is, I think, like just taking in his words. It's not that I think lowly of you. It is just that I have been. Wait, pause. Have we decided if the entire world knows if magic is dying, or is this like a hush hush thing right now?
Ooh, I don't think we've decided entirely, but I will say this. I will say that since the Barley Lord, his main thing... Oh, sorry, I'm hearing myself an echo for a second. Because the Barley Lord's main thing is like, you know, he's a farming mogul, and the land is being poisoned. I think there may be like whispers that may be happening throughout the... Degree Farmer says, don't ask, don't spell. Oh, that's a good pun. Oh, that's a good pun. I think there may be whispers that magic is fading, and I think people who are really close to the land, like the Barley Lord, might be, you know, might have a little head up on that inkling. But I don't think we've discussed whether it's like it's public knowledge.
Okay, cool. So the Magus is gonna be like, you know, I'm on a grand quest currently. I have no doubt that you have been affected by the fall of magic as much as the next town. I have been burdened with this and have not had much gusto or energy and capacity to deal with much else. Tell me, what plagues your town?
Yes, and how long has it been that this magic, you say, was fading from the world?
Oh, magic has been steadily dying for the last couple hundred years.
To this, like, the Barley Lord definitely seems taken aback. And you couldn't make any time for us within those few hundred years?
Barley Lord, come again. How old are you?
Barley Lord is probably, I would say, maybe like his like late 60s. He's a human, I would assume.
Okay.
But, you know, say, I am in my venerable years, but of course my father before me, and my grandmother, and my grandmother's grandmothers, and grandmother's grandfathers, and so on and so forth, have hardly heard any tales of the Magus blessing their fields with their presence.
I do. And like he kind of like is like begrudgingly like scrutinized, like curling up his face, like what he's about to say next is like physically hurting him. I do apologize for my lack of appearance in this realm or in this town. I don't know if I've heard much of your crops dying, but I do know that this is affecting us at a much larger scale. Things much larger than Barley Town.
So I am to give you of all of my precious bounty and allow you to cross. What have you to say to me? What promises can be made for Barley Manor and our ilk should we give you of all of our aid, being that you have apologized so profusely for denying us in the past?
What do you wish?
As he begins to like stroke his far-flung facial hair. Barley Town has provided this realm with a great deal of sustenance and protection for ages untold. We desire to be more formally integrated into the goings-on at Ravenhall. We have our one attendant here, but why not settle a new school of learning, of magical strength here in Barley Town, and allow us to learn your many secrets to keep ourselves strong and our crops even stronger.
And the Magus like thinks about this for a second. I can promise that if we bring back magic to the realm, we will absolutely establish a school of magic here in Barley Town. To which I will personally visit at least once a quarter.
And you will teach all of the finest ravens your magical secrets?
Yes, you can make that happen.
And you will meet with the people of Barley Town and you will shake their hands and let them know that they are loved and appreciated?
I don't think I'm much for shaking hands.
And you will sit down with me and you will break bread and you will have a drink and maybe share a story and song?
Possibly.
These terms, I believe, are acceptable. As the Barley Lord feels like his ego has been well enough stroked by an important figure. As the mage is making these promises, he's like cutting his look like to his raven attendant and also to like his various guards, sort of like, oh, you see that? Breaking of song and drink. Yeah. Well, as long as we have your unending and undying word, Magus, I can't believe there'd be any reason why the Barley Town should not allow you free passage from our manor.
Now, tell me, if I didn't make these promises, would there be a fee for my passage?
Well, we would certainly have to come to some arrangement to allow you through, would we not?
You would. This just seems quite expensive.
Luckily, the pockets of the Barley Lord have become very deep these past few years.
And Sally's gonna look at Vago and goes, he has deep pockets.
To Vago.
Vago, you are muted.
He has deep pockets. Vago does not have pockets. Is Vago not lucky?
To this, Caspian looks over at Vago. I actually think you got yourself quite a good situation going here, Vago, so far. I think.
He's not lucky then have deep pockets. And I'm sure the mage is just like taps him on the arm, just like.
I'll explain this.
And who are these myriad few that follow in your footsteps, Magus? I simply must know. You'll be the talk of the town by the morn.
Well, would you care to introduce yourselves? And kind of like steps to the side and kind of like motions to the party to say hello to this Barley man.
This Barley man. Caspian sort of very begrudgingly steps forward, makes like the most reserved form of like a bow, like sort of just like puts one arm out and like dips his head down for a second, clearly not impressed with all the showmanship and the self-aggrandizing of the Barley Lord. Caspian Rain at the Magus' service, he says as he takes like a step back astride the Magus.
Vago step forward, do the exact same bow, and go, Vago, Golem of Ravenhall, in the service of the Magus.
And then Sally kind of lumbers up like in towards this line, doesn't bow, but kind of like does this excited wave. He goes, I'm Sully, I'm from Mistwood, and I'm also here in service of the Magus.
Oh, goodness, Magus. A man of stone and a giant in my very halls. Oh, the bards will sing tales of this day.
Also this one, and he points to Caspian. You forgot this one.
Inspire slightly less grandiose tales, I'm afraid. No offense. And Caspian says, yeah, no offense taken.
Caspian, tell him about the rutabaga recipe. Inspire him.
Yes.
Oh my god. And to this, like, the Barley Lord just smiles as, like, Caspian, like, grits his teeth. We'll talk about the rutabagas later, Vago. Like, just, like, overwhelmed. To this, the Barley...
You do not want to impress, he's fine, I guess.
The Barley Lord says, Well, it is only right that since you've made such a grand promise, and that, of course, you have now graced my halls with these daring new tales, that we should leave you with a small token as well. As he, looks over your party, and settles his eyes on, we'll say Vago, and says, this one looks, trustworthy by your hand, yes?
Very much so.
A very loyal one you are, Vago, in service of the Magus. And he goes, claps his hands. And another attendant comes rushing out very, very quickly with a leather sling that's jingling and jangling. And then holds up would be almost like a shoulder slung bag for a normal person, but Vago's size makes it a different equation. So the attendant just sort of nervously holds up the leather satchel, just sort of shaking, wondering what Vago's going to do with it.
Vago just takes it and grabs it like a change purse in one hand.
Splendid. I'm sure that your attendant here will keep a very close eye on this charitable donation by way of Barley Manor to the good Magus for promises of certain services rendered at a time to be disclosed up in the future, yes?
Absolutely. He says very...
Oh, wonderful. I just knew that this meeting would be fortuitous for both of us, Magus. Glad you could finally make the time.
It has been my pleasure.
Mine as well. Please, speak good tidings of Barley Town throughout your journeys. Let us not keep you any further.
Well, thank you. We shall spread the good word of Barley Town. Are we ready?
Cass...
And he kind of...
Oh yeah, no,
Okay.
you first.
I was gonna say the mage just turns on their heel, and just kind of starts walking towards the exit.
Caspian says, I've been ready, and turns around and follows suit.
Solly
Vago takes his hand, touches it to his hip, and digs it into himself, and pulls out just a little bit of a layer, and makes a pocket for himself.
Oh my god!
Then he stashes the entire coin purse into it, and pats it kind of shut, but the seam is still very much visible.
Yes.
And then Vago, with a nod, turns heel and follows.
Loki says, thanks, it has pockets. This golem...
That's the achievement
yes,
you unlock
yeah.
when you play the Fall of Magic game and you make the pocket.
Yeah, you get the pocket. Sully?
Sully is just going to turn around and go, bye! Nice meeting you!
And with that, I think we will close the scene at Barley Manor, and of course, I think I've foreshadowed enough. Vago, you now gain the descriptor of wealthy. So,
that's where you're going with that. Okay.
I can't wait to see what Vago does with a charitable donation of the Barley Lord's coin.
I can't wait to see what scene he loses it in. Although, I mean, he could spend it on something.
That's true.
Anyway, we'll get there. We'll get there when we get there.
So we are coming up on around 10:21. How y'all feeling? You wanna try and close this out for the eve?
I think closing is a good option. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, especially because coming up is our first crossroads.
Oh, our first crossroads, yeah. Oh, wow, yeah. This has implications, doesn't it? All right,
It's a big one too.
Yeah. I'm looking ahead. I definitely see that. All right, we're at the crossroads. Excellent. So I think now this is the moment where we take a recap of the evening's events. Correct?
Yeah. Correct.
That is correct.
Well, all right. Well, first of all, I want to say, chat, thank you so much for sticking around for the game so far. I think We still have like 9 people chilling. We had like 12 at one point. Awesome. I would love to also hear from chat as we're recapping our favorite moments or like fun moments from the night tonight. I'd love it if chat threw some in there as well, because I'd love to just start a dialogue around the story. But yeah, what are some moments that you guys really appreciated this session?
I love the entire tavern scene.
You like the what?
The entire tavern scene,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
I loved everyone's interactions in the tavern. It was very good.
Yeah, the party needed like a good tavern like bonding dynamic scene. That I have to say, Garrett, masterful NPCing of like all the different songs, like very well done.
I was gonna say I've been having a lot of fun this session with meeting NPCs.
Yeah.
Playing and interacting with.
Yeah.
I also really liked, like I said, like Loki says, I really like Sully's whole "Where are there other giants? Am I the only one?" Reminded me of the last Unicorn movie.
Last Unicorn.
Honestly, I was gonna say the same thing. Like, I like that. I just wanted to pick the Harper's Road scene because it was like the next, scene into our stopping point. And I didn't want to like have a scene with myself as the Magus talking to Caspian about who he left behind. So I was like, who would be like the person? And like Vago doesn't really. I don't think Vago has like any idea of who he would leave behind. So Sully was like the next constable choice. And then we got a whole bunch of new giant lore that I wrote down. There's like a marble tower that's like the seat of political power and magic of giants, and like the Sea of Umbra. Like, that's awesome. I feel like every time I've like kind of just gone in like with no knowledge of what the things are for the giants with Amber, like you've managed to drop some like really cool new nugget of like what the giants are to this world, and that's awesome. So I'd like that. And Loki said also the tavern, so much fun. I'm glad you had fun. I'm sorry that the Magus stopped them from arm wrestling, but I feel like the Magus was trying to keep a low profile, and yeah, I know. I feel like the Magus. Yeah. So we'll see.
Oh yeah. That table was absolutely gonna get broken. There was no way.
Yeah, no, that whole side of the bar was gonna be collateral damage. Also, we had our first combat, which was fun. It was like a very short, like swift kind of combat, but I like how we all had something cool to contribute, and like, I feel like that would be, I mean, honestly, if I were like, a bandit and 2 dogs running up against like this party, like, I think the fight would be over pretty quick. But yeah, I also liked, like, I didn't want to decide the fate of the bandit, so I left it up to the Magus, and I liked the handling of that. That was cool.
I think for me, one of my like difficulties is working in the personality of the Magus, which is hilarious because I wrote it. But like, working in the personality of the Magus with like these scenes has become like difficult for me. I'm like, how do I make this rough? Like, like how do I like portray that part of the Magus personality?
Yeah. No, it's true because I mean, like, the Magus is supposed to be someone who has like helped the realm, but like also is a sort of a distant character. I think too, because there's this added element of the Magus is dying and needs to rely on people, kind of inherently is making them a little more, maybe, I don't want to say a little softer than they might usually be, but there's like another element there. But yeah, I agree. Like, especially because the Magus is a character that's being like controlled by 3 of us. Like, it's just a little bit more difficult to keep it consistent. But I don't know. I think for the most part, I think we're like, there's a watchable trajectory through the Magus so far. I think at the very least, there's always an interesting scene with the Magus, which is really what's important.
Yeah, that's cool. I really like when you called out like, does the Magus keep the Magus' appearance or shapeshift? I was like, ooh, good element to add to the Magus.
It's funny. I was actually going to suggest that happened. If I was the one moving us into Barley Town, I was going to actually have the Magus do a thing for all of us.
Oh, wow. Well, I'm actually kind of glad that didn't happen because then that gave the Barley Lord a reason to like call you into court. So,
I saw Old Abbey. There's confession where some true identities could have come to light a little bit more than even. But anyway, that was just me like fussing around with ideas between scenes.
Yeah, is there like a scene on the map that like you were, you kind of thought again, like you were interested in, but then kind of moved away from?
Let me see. I guess I didn't really latch onto Swine Hill. Matilda's Farm sounded like it would be something interesting.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But I think the ones we ended up in were the ones that I also thought, like, yeah, those will be interesting.
Yeah, I think those were, I think narratively too, very strong. Although I liked your idea with the old Abbey would have been a cool scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure we would have made something nice out of it, regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
But yeah, I had a good time.
I did
Me too.
Well, any other reflections before we pass it on back to the viewers?
Not for me.
All right.
Not for me either.
Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining us for the stream tonight for our collaborative little storytelling of Fall of Magic. I hope you are enjoying the tale as much as I am. I feel like, yeah, every time we play, I get to learn a little bit more about these characters and like their connection to each other, and I kind of like the buddy romance between Caspian and Vago, and I like that Vago is taking this like strangely protective like thing over Shelly, like don't get drunk. Like I like all the little things that are growing as we're playing. But yeah, so Fall of Magic is one of our streaming events that we do on the channel. Normally Wednesdays is the D&D campaign, but that depends on our head count. So hopefully that'll be coming up soon. I'm going to be away personally for 2 weeks for vacation, so we might not have a stream for a little bit, and I'll be sorry to not see you. But I still may do something else this week just to have 3 for this current week. But we may not see you until after January 13th or so, so I'm sorry we're going to be on a little hiatus, but we'll be back soon. If you are not already following us on all the things and following us here, we would so much appreciate your follow and your support. We broke 100 followers a little while ago, and we're almost at 110, which is great. We're almost at 50 on the YouTube, which I would recommend you follow there, because that is where, when all of the episodes disappear from Twitch, that is where they're going to be. So if you want to get caught up with the D&D campaign before we meet up again, that is going to be where you're going to be able to watch those episodes. I'm also going to pause our song because we don't need it anymore. So yes, if you want to catch up with all the previous episodes, it is there. And also, please join us on the Discord. There are fun memes being dropped in the chat, fan art. There is a campaign journal of all the previous exploits of the D&D campaign. And soon, I'm going to be scheming with Garrett to see if we can turn it into a play-by-post space. So if you yeah. So if you want to play some D&D with us and do like play-by-post stuff, it'll be there. So a lot of fun things coming the Discord's way. And with that being said, I am Wolf Scott, your host and one of your dungeon masters tonight. I appreciate your time so much, and I will allow my friends to outro themselves, and then we'll bid you adieu.
My name is Amber. Like I said, I normally play Nadara Valier on our level 1 adventuring Dungeons and Dragons campaign. I also stream over on my Twitch, The Girl with Caramel Skin. You can follow me there. I'm currently playing a game called Project Zomboid, in which you will see me scream a lot and be very jumpy at and die a lot. So if you're into that sort of thing, come follow me. But I appreciate y'all. Have a good night.
I'm Garrett. I just lurk, so follow these guys. But thanks for watching this.
Yeah, thank you. With that being said, your time and energy is so appreciated. We hope to see you on all the things we just talked about and all the other future exploits of Level 1 Adventuring. And until then, get some rest and, recharge from your holiday, because I know I need to recover. And we will see you on the next one. So,
yeah.
peace easy. I'm going to run that beautiful outro footage.